Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to When the Fashion Model Met the Designer, a special evening with Indonesia's first supermodel, Tracy Trinita. Well, my name is Peter Kaldor, and I work with the organisation City Bubble Forum that is hosting Tracy's tour of Australia. And quite a tour it's been so far. She's been in 4 cities, speaking in numerous schools and city venues, and after here she goes on to Adelaide and then concludes in Perth. We're very grateful to the Ravi Zacharias International Ministries, or known as RZIM for short, for allowing time for Tracy to be in Australia for so long. And she's joined here tonight by her partner from RZIM, Dan Patterson, who lives in Brisbane. We're also very thankful to Jane Hutchin, known to many of you, I'm sure, as the host of the 1+1 interview program on the ABC. We're very delighted, Jane, that you've given up your time to be with us tonight. After Tracy speaks, Jane will be interviewing Tracy before you have a chance to ask your questions. Tracy grew up in Bali to a Brazilian father and an Indonesian mother. She has a younger brother and sister, and we've just got a few early family shots here for you. But childhood wasn't always easy for Tracy, and things took a dramatic turn when she won the Elite Model Look International competition in 1995. As they say, the rest was history, and she went on to forge a successful career as an international model, working for designers such as Yves Saint Laurent, Paul Gautier, Kenzo, and Benetton. And she even turned her hand to film. Can you pick which one's Tracy? There's clearly one that isn't Tracy. As Tracy won't be demonstrating her modelling skills to us this evening, sadly, before she comes to speak, we'd love to play just a very short clip. Well, we're very privileged to have Tracy tonight with us. So I hope you enjoy the evening, and now let's us welcome Tracy to the stage. Thanks, Tracy.
Thank you so much. Good evening to all of you, and thank you so much for being here. I'm here by the invitation of City Bubble Forum, and it has been a pleasure seeing your beautiful country. It's actually quite amazing that I'm here for almost 2 weeks, and I get the experience of all types of weather. Sydney was 10 Celsius, Canberra was around 0 to 5 Celsius, and then Melbourne was 4 seasons in one day, and also Brisbane was 23 Celsius, and now back to cold again. It's just amazing. Just a week and a half ago, I went to Canberra, and I was asking a student in this school, like, if they can name what's the scariest animal in Australia. And some of them just shout, drop bear, drop bear, drop bear. It's not in my list. Until Peter from CVF explained to me that's just an urban legend in Australia for tourists. And I was like, oh, phew, at least I didn't think that was true. There's so many stories in the world that is not true, but people love to say it because it's fun. But there's lots of stories true, but people are scared to share because it's intervened with many people, especially when the story is about yourself. We have stories from the beginning of our time on earth until now. We have so many stories. Sometimes we think the story just belongs to us. It's just our private story only for us to see, and maybe for people who actually interact with that story. And for the longest time, that was me. I'm extremely private about my life. Many times the media try to find out about my life, and I'm like, if you want to ask, you can ask about my work. But my family, my personal life, my relationship, it's for me alone. And until one day, something about to change. Because I realized my story is no longer my story. It is a story about the designers, the grand designers that has formed me before the foundation of earth, and the one who actually somehow found me in the lost in the world. And he's the one who restructured everything, and he's the one who redeemed everything. And then I realized that story is no longer my story. It belongs to him. And I would love to share that story tonight in such a short duration, that minutes given to me. So I would love to begin with my background. So my full name is Tracy Trinita. I come from Bali. I'm sure some of you have been to Bali, but if you haven't, please come to Bali. We would love to have you in Bali. And I grew up in Bali, but I have a very, people say it's like I have a very unique beginnings of my life. My parents not ready to have me when they're very young. So the first few years of my life, I grew up with my grandparents. And then when I was 7, I moved with my parents. And I love my life in Bali. It's so much fun, especially after school. I live 5 minutes away from the beach, in Legian Beach, next to Kuta Beach. And I remember as soon as I drop my bags, eat my lunch, I rush to the beach and swim. And I love to pretend that I'm Ariel from The Little Mermaid. And I just love that times. But then the next morning I have to go to school, which it was extremely hard. It was really hard because I didn't realize that I have such a low self-esteem. I didn't realize also I was actually quite tall. And I let people bullying me with lots of things. But then I end up actually having such a crisis identity at a very young age. The very first one that I realized that I'm different is when I went to Brazil, they call me Oriental. And when I'm in Indonesia, they call me Bule. Both means like Westerners. One says I'm Asian, and the other one says I'm Westerners. So I don't feel I belong to any of these two lands. I always feel like I'm not part of Indonesia nor Brazil. And I remember when I walk with my parents, as you see, my dad is blonde and blue eyes, and my mom is Indonesian dark skin, and I look Chinese. And oftentimes they ask me like, really, that's your parents? I'm like, yeah. And no one really believes they are my parents. And sometimes I wonder, maybe they found me on the beach somewhere, and oh, so cute. And the second one is actually my name. My name is Tracy Trinita. It's my real name. It's not my stage name. Tracy is named after tennis player Tracy Austin. In the 80s, she's a legend. She's young. She's champion. She won lots of competition. And my both grandparents, from my both side of parents, they love tennis. My parents love tennis. My younger siblings also love tennis. And they named me Tracy in hoping that I become a tennis player one day. And I'm the only one in my family that doesn't know how to play tennis. So that's the fun side about the name. But the sad side about the name is that in Indonesia, Tracy is not pronounced in Tracy. It's pronounced Trasi, and Trasi means smelly fish. So in school, like, oh, smelly fish, Trasi. And I hate my name. So the last one is actually my height. In Bali, all my classmates are very petite, like common Asian girls. And I remember I will be like my friend Wayan Nyoman Made Tracy. And my other name in school is giraffe, is bamboo tree, coconut tree, and so either Tracy or those names. So I hate being tall. I wish I can be petite and small like Asian girls. But my mother thinks that, okay, so when I was 13, I'm 173. So when I was 14, I'm 175. And I, by God's grace, stopped at 181 now. I don't want to get taller than this. And my mom thinks that why she has such a low self-esteem. So my mom thinks that maybe modeling will make me feel more confident. So she signed me up into this modeling competition. In Indonesia, in the 90s, there's this big modeling competitions. It's called CoverGirl. And the winner of this competition became immediately the most famous model of the year. So my mom sent my photo in hoping that I will be one of the finalists. And I did. I think that year they received around 3,000 letters with lots of photos, and I'm one of the 20 they picked to be the finalists. To cut the story short, I remember being in the stage on the final night of the competitions. And when they start to mention the winner is, and my name, Tracy Trinita, and the claps and the lighting and all of these glamour things I've never seen before, I didn't realize the implication of winning that competition is about to change my life from nobody to somebody overnight. And what happened is that I come back home to Bali. All of a sudden, my friend called me, "Hey, Tracy." They know my name. And then they will mention, like, "I saw you on TV last night," or my dad showed me your newspaper with your photo this morning. And everything started to change. I have lots of friends who will call my real name. No one make fun of me anymore. All of a sudden, I have so many friends. I never knew that I'm friends with them. They know my name. And I was overwhelmed by this. I was overwhelmed by the prize I won from the competition. Lots of money I never had before. By winning lots of gift. People kept giving me gift. It wasn't even my birthday. But it was an amazing feeling. For the first time, I feel loved. For the first time, I feel I'm accepted. For the first time, I feel I'm important. And I start to like this feeling. And I start to think that maybe this is where you can find happiness, in being famous and having more than money, especially. Because now I feel a glimpse of happiness. And at the age of 14 years old, I built a wrong philosophy about life. I really thought, in order for me to be happy, I need to be more rich, I need to be more famous. That year, I really started to like my new world. My mom joined me to another 2 big competitions. The first one was Elite Model Indonesia. This competition is almost like an Elite Model International. It's like Miss Universe for modeling. So the competition is like every country will do the competitions and they'll pick the winner. And the winner will be sent to the international competitions. And the winner of the competitions will actually have an exclusive contract with agency around the world under the management of Elite Model. And you have a contract to work in New York City. It's a prestige competitions. I joined the Indonesia one and I won the first place. I represent Indonesia into international competitions and I won again. And to today history, I was the only Indonesian model ever won that big competitions. So my life is about to change even bigger. Now I'm no longer just Indonesian model, but now I'm about to enter becoming international model. I come back to Bali. My parents know how to humble me. It's like, you're just a student, study. So sometimes you feel like you get used to it with all these glamour things for a few months, and then at home they just treat you like normal kids. It's good. It's a good parents. So I remember my agency asked me if I want to move to New York City to work as a professional model, and I'm extremely excited because in Indonesia we never really had the model who actually signed up with a big agency around the world, and I was about to actually be the first. So I was extremely excited. And I have this theory as a 14 years old. It's better to be the first because no one will ever replace you. You're the first. But if you're the best, one day if someone better than you come, you're no longer the best. They will replace you. So I came to my parents and with all excuses until I said, "Dad, Mom, I just want to be the first." And they're like, "No, you can't. You can't go. You're a student. You have to finish your school. Then later on, once you're done with college, then we talk about it." But I was eager to pursue more happiness. Maybe by becoming international model, I become famous, I'll be happy. Maybe if I have more money, I'll be happy. So I keep begging my parents until they told me, "Okay, fine, only for 1 year. If you don't change, you can stay longer, but don't forget about your school." So I promised my parents I'll do correspondence school while I'm in New York, and I'm so ready to become international model. I came to New York City, taught by my agency that somebody will pick you up at the airport. And when you arrive there, they will take you to model's apartment for underage, where you have a chaperone, where you have a curfew, where you're going to be safe there. So I'm looking forward to that. I arrived at JFK, waiting for someone with a board with my name in it. And I'm waiting and waiting and waiting. I didn't realize that they actually forgot to pick me up. In Asia, whenever you leave in the evening of the 1st of July, like for example, you arrive on the 1st of July, even though it's 22 hours flight. And they think it was the next day, but it was that day. So I was in the airport, feeling tired, hungry, after 11 or 12 hours in the airport. I was thinking like, you know what? This is really good. Because I watched the movie Home Alone 2, and it was so much fun. So I was extremely excited, and I was just have to find the city. I have to go to Manhattan and find a nice hotel there, and I'm just going to stay there until they found me. It was amazing 3 days of ordering room service. I didn't know that you have to pay for room service. The bill was actually quite long, and they're like, really, you eat everything? And I'm like, I don't know that you are supposed to pay. And then they're like, I said sorry, they actually pay for the whole bill. But that was the last fun things, because the reality is that whenever we see entertainment's world, whenever we see movie star or singer or models, actors, and all of people in the showbiz, the front stage always look amazing, but the backstage is full of sacrifice, full of hard work, full of, people start from zero oftentimes. And I didn't realize that I'm actually starting from zero for the first time. I'm no longer having the experience from nobody to somebody overnight. Finally, the reality of the real modeling world happened to me. I didn't realize that every models have to go through auditions, and you have to present your portfolio. Sometimes you have to walk in front of them, and you have to act when they have to ask you for a TV commercial. I didn't realize you have to do that. And out of 100 auditions, maximum job I can get is 10. So 90% says no to me. And for someone who has such a low self-esteem, it was really hard. I was young, I was far from my family, it was really hard. I don't want to tell my parents. I don't want them to ask me to go home, because I want to make it. Because I know this is the reason I'll be happy. When I'm done with this, when I become successful, therefore I'll be happier. So I pursue that. I do my best. The life is actually quite hard behind the scene, because in the morning until afternoon, I have to do lots of auditions. And then in the evening, I have to make my own dinner, do my own laundry, and study and make my homework to send out to my correspondence school. And then the next day happens again and happens again. And in fact, people often think that there's less competition in modeling world. Actually, you used to be surprised that sometimes what's beautiful on the outside is not necessarily beautiful on the inside. I remember when I got my very first job for 17 magazine. There's two teenager magazines I love the most. It's Dolly from Australia and 17 magazine from the US. Love it. So when I got 8 pages to a photo shoot, I was extremely excited. I told my model's friend that I'm going to do this. And then they just look at me funny. And I'm just like, okay, if they're not happy, it's fine. The next morning, I woke up 4 hours later because someone turned off my alarm clock and I missed the job. And I didn't realize how hard it is, how tough it is out there. No one told me that life is tough until I learned myself working as a model. But I have this ambition in my heart. I just want to be happier. I don't care. I will do the right things, but I want to be happier. And I pursue this career. Years went by. I started to get lots of jobs. I started to do lots of magazine, a campaign in the US, in Europe. I worked in the Fashion Week of Paris, New York, Milan. And I did lots of big campaign and even small campaign. And I started to have what I was looking for. I started to have money more than enough for teenagers. I started to have the fame that I was looking for. And I travel a lot for work and party a lot as well as a teenager. It's so funny how there is no ID check when you go to party as a model. Maybe you look older because you're tall and I don't know, maybe the makeup or so on, but there's a lot of party, there's lots of work, there's lots of traveling, and my world seems to be actually quite fun from the outside. I have a best friend who will call me every 2 or 3 weeks from her dad's office just to check about my life. She's extremely excited about the idea of living my life through just hearing the conversation from the phone. So she kept asking me Tracy, what have you done this week? What have you been the past 2 weeks? And I'll be telling her for example, I'll tell her I just got back from Jamaica for this photo shoot. It was amazing, blah, blah, and I explained about Jamaica and everything. And then she will ask me the question okay, who's the famous person that you met this week? Because for some reason, you live in New York City, you party with lots of people, and there's so many famous people. And I would say to her okay, do you remember that guy that we watched about the sinking ship, the big sinking ship? Yeah, the actor, yeah. Yeah, I met him last week. He was very nice, he's very friendly. And then she's like, oh my gosh. I'm like, I know. Yeah, I was like that too inside, but I was like, just act cool, like he's like nobody. But then the second thing I said to her, like, okay, do you remember the singer that we keep playing in your car whenever we go to the mall? Yep, he was sitting next to me at a dinner, just a few nights ago. Oh my goodness, what did you say? So I asked him like, oh, sorry, what's your name? I know his name. I even know his birthday and all the information about his life. You just have to act cool when you meet famous people. And then the second thing I asked him, I said, oh, sorry, what do you do for a living? I have all the album. But I'm like, oh, you're a musician. Oh, wow, that's great. On the outside, I look cool. Inside, like, oh my gosh. But you just have to just be cool. My friend loved this story. And I love telling her this story. But one thing is that she will always end the conversation with, Tracy, you're so lucky. I wish I can have your life. I was just trying to thank you. There's something she doesn't know. Something she doesn't know. That every time I come back home from this amazing party, amazing trip, amazing photo shoot, I come home when I can really be myself, when I don't have to be a professional model, when I can just really be myself. I come home feeling extremely empty. For sometimes I'm trying to diagnose, is it loneliness? No, I have so many friends. Is it homesick? No, I can come home anytime, and it has been a few years ever since I left home. It's empty, it's a void in my heart. And at first, I'm trying to avoid the feeling. I went shopping and I come back, it still feels the same. I go party and come back, still feel the same. Traveling, still feel the same. And there's, after sometimes this void in my heart start to bothers me, to the point I cannot enjoy everything else. And I start to get worried. I'm like, I cannot live like this. I feel so empty. I feel so void. My life has no meaning. Later on, I read in the story, G.K. Chesterton, a writer from England, says that meaninglessness does not come from weary of pain. Meaninglessness comes from weary of pleasure. It's so funny when I'm in the top of my career, when I have so much pleasure that anyone would probably wish to have. When life's supposed to bring happiness, when I'm supposed to, be happier because I already have the two things that I thought brings happiness, and yet I'm not happy. And there's something wrong. I don't want to be ungrateful, but I'm just not happy. So I try to find the answer. I ask people around me, maybe those who come from the same industry as me will know the answer. Maybe they feel the same way as well. So I did ask a few models friends, hey, have you ever have this kind of experience? Like, you feel just like a void, like empty. You can be in the middle of an amazing party, you just feel like numb, like empty. You can't even enjoy anything. And at home sometimes, and even in your traveling. And she said to me, like, Trace, that's normal. I'm like, I'm so glad it's normal. And I asked her, like, so what's the solution? And she told me that, Trace, it's simple, okay? From Monday to Friday, stay sober, work hard. But from Friday until maybe Sunday morning, use drugs so you can forget the feeling for at least for a good 2 days. And I was like, using drugs? And I remember my mother gave me the best anti-drugs campaign when we visited her relative that went to mental hospital because she used lots of drugs that makes her brain doesn't work properly, and she started to do lots of crazy things. And she looked way older, she lost her teeth. And my mom just looked at me and said, okay, you see that person? Yep. If you want to look ugly and old sooner, use drugs. I'm like, oh, no. And that is the first time I realized like drugs will just damaging me. I said no. And when my friend gave me the option, I'm like, nope. I remember my mom's amazing campaign. So I say no to drugs. And then the next thing my friend just told me, like, Trace, don't think about it. Why you fuss about these big questions, meaninglessness and all of this emptiness? Forget about it. YOLO, you only live once. Enjoy life. Go party, go do all the crazy things. Just enjoy every moment. But it's so strange because no one told me on this one. But I always think there's a consequences in every behavior. And if I do it now, maybe I don't pay it now, but I'll have to pay it later one day. I just don't know why it's registered in my brain that way. I'm scared of the consequences of free lifestyle. So I say, I don't think so. And my friend, I think, looked frustrated over the reason why I keep asking questions and told me, like, Trace, if you're not happy, Just die. And I look at her and say, where do I go if I die? And she's like, I don't know. And that was, like looking back, I realized there's so many people in the entertainment world also end up, just do the fast exit. It was just really devastated to see that as options. Then I realized like that is not the three options I would like to take. So I look around me, outside of modeling world, and I look at people who seem to have religions. It seems to be happier. Even though they're simple, they seem to be content and happier. So I was like, maybe what they have, what I don't have, that I should have. And it's God. Then the next question is, but which God? I come from such a mixed belief systems. My mom's dad is Muslim. My mom's mother is a Christian, and my Brazilian side of family are Catholic. In Bali, we have Hindu temple, and we did Hindu ceremony every single day, like our housekeeper doing it for us. So I'm confused with which one. Then I realized, like, wait, if God really, the grand designer of the universe, if he really the creator of everything, he probably will listen to me when I ask him to reveal himself. So I remember being in my New York apartment and looking to the ceiling and I asked these questions. God, the one who made the universe and everything in it, please reveal yourself to me. And you know what happened? Nothing happened. I really wish there's a sounds like, Tracy, this is God, what's up? It will be amazing. But surely God answered the cries of my heart, and surely he answered me not in my way, but in his way. And later on, my agency asked me if I want to move to Paris. And I thought by moving to Paris will bring a new era, a new kind of happiness. I moved to Paris, but actually God used Paris as a moment where he revealed himself to me in a unique way. A friend of mine, a student, asked me if I want to go to church. I told her, nope, on Sunday it's my sleeping time. I only wake up around 2 or 3 o'clock because I'm hungry. And she kept insisting that I should go with her. So finally I said, okay, fine, I'm coming. I was in church, looking around me, and realizing something different. There is a radiance on people's face. Not everyone, some of them. Glowing on their face. It's nothing to do with lighting, nothing to do with makeup, no glitter on their face. But like a radiant. And I was like, why they're so happy? Why they're so radiant? There's like a joy come out from their face. And I'm like, is it because they have a relationship with Jesus? Is it because they're Christian? And I'm curious. But there's something within me says like, Tracy, do not believe easily. Do not believe easily. Something resisting from me and saying like, no. You cannot believe. You have to do your investigation first. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do that. I'm going to ask 6 belief systems in the front of me the same question, and they have to answer me. So for a few months, almost a year, I keep adding question, and I try to find out they have to answer the same questions. And every belief system has to really answer that, and whichever at the end, the answers make sense to my mind and really touch my heart, they'll be the faith that I'll be committed to. They'll be the faith that I think, that I believe that the real God is revealing himself through. So I asked this question. I asked about who is God, why God created the human being, what's the meaning of life, what's the purpose of our existence, why do we have to do the thing we do? And even the question about morality, from God's perspective, from human perspective, I even asked the question, where did we go when we died? And to my surprise, the answer is different. The description about God is different. The description about human purpose and meaning in life is different. There's just a few that like similar, but many of them speak about different person of God. It seems like they don't speak about the same God. Even the question about destiny was different. One belief system says that when you died, you vanish. You're done. You never exist anymore. Another belief system says that, no. You be born again and depends on you pass wrong. All right. You could be a tree, you could be animal, you could be a human. But hopefully you're going to be born again to be a better and better and better. And other faith says, no. When you die, you're going to be born again to reach perfections. And other faith says, it's simple math. Your good deeds against your bad deeds going to be weighed. Which one's heavier? Either you go to hell or you go to paradise. But there's one voice says that for God so loved the world, he gave his begotten only son. So whoever believes in him, not going to perish, but have eternal life in him. At first I was like, wow, I can't be in heaven because I believe in him, it's a bit too good to be true. But I would love to believe that because all the rest of the answer to my questions, it really touched me. The Christian worldview, it really touched my heart and my mind. But at the same time, I was like, really? What happened 2,000 years ago is still significant for me? Is it still sufficient? And someone told me, Trace, Jesus' blood, when he died to save humankind, is effective when we believe in him. So his precious blood will never go in vain. When you say yes to Jesus, you will be part of his kingdom. He will transform your life. And Jesus did promise he is the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through him. And no other leaders of other belief systems ever claim to be God or ever claim to be the way, the truth, and the life, except Jesus. I have so many opinions about Jesus. I don't like him before, but I never read about him. I don't like him because of people's opinion about him. Until one day I read his biography from the Bible. Mark, Matthew, Luke, John, and I realized wait a minute. He's amazing. He's full of miracle. His life is full of miracle. He died and he rose again. And for 40 days he met more than 500 people that witnessed his resurrections. And he ascended to heaven. If he say he's the way, the truth, and the life, no one comes to heaven and no one comes to Father except through him. And I should believe that. It would be so arrogant not to believe that. Because he invited me, not because of my amazing work, but because of his kindness. I say yes to Jesus. Fear that I'll be a boring Christian, but at the same time, I feel the glimpse of love that I never felt before. Acceptance I never felt before. And I felt like, God, if you're truly the one who makes the universe and everything in it, you can fix me because there's something wrong with me. And he did. He's the great physician, and I'm his patient. And I remember after becoming a Christian, I didn't realize I changed until someone told me, Trace, there's something wrong with you, something different about you. And I'm like, is it my hair? Is it what happened? And then my friend just said, no. You're nicer. You're happier now. There's something different about you. I don't know how to put in words. And I'm like, really? And lots of other things. For example, when I say yes to Jesus, I was so liberating. There's something heavy weight came out from my shoulder. For the first time, I realized my identity is no longer in what I have. It's no longer what I do. It's no longer because what people make fun of my name or anything else. There's attribute that's been put into my shoulder for these years. For the first time, my identity is secured in him, who say he is the one who made me. And my life has meaning, have purpose, and have destiny in him. And I go back to modeling world with such a joy. It was the best time of my modeling world because for the first time, I'm no longer to pursue all the wrong places and I'm no longer have to impress people. I just have this one audience, which is God himself that I would love to impress with my life. And things start to unfold itself and I start to get, I would call heart surgery. And God started to fix lots of bitterness in my life and lots of things that is just not right. He is truly a miracle God who's just not far or distant God, but he's God who's intervened in human's life. I didn't realize that how he has cleansed the way I feel the world, the way I feel people. I didn't realize how much trauma I have, how much brokenness in me, how much hurt I was, until he revealed that, but not only revealing that, but healing me at the same time. It's a miracle. It's a miracle that I receive when I say yes to Jesus. I work as a model with such joy and lots of experience as a model, as a Christian, and as a model in New York City. And then I realized that I no longer have to pursue modeling for happiness because the source of happiness is God himself. And then I start to explore another world. I'm doing movies. I do event organizing. I do music promoter. I write for a magazine. I have a boutique in Bali. I studied at Oxford for 3 years, took theology. And then I became a pastor and I became an itinerant speaker. Life has never been a boring one ever since I met the person of Jesus. I want to close with one story. In our brokenness, we never realize how God loves us and how God has amazing plan for our life. How God wants to fix certain part of our hearts that has been broken because we are in the world, we are in the broken world. I remember working as a model in Paris. And there is a big fashion show that not every model can walk. We have the pret-à-porter or ready-to-wear, but we have haute couture or alta moda. Haute couture is the dress where they made with hand. It's so expensive. It's like a painting. It's an art. It's beautiful. Only one piece is normally they sell. It's extremely expensive. And the model that we'll pick to walk for the haute couture, normally the very elegant model. And I remember walking in this beautiful dress. I know it takes 6 months to make, by lots of hand that sew it one by one and put lots of expensive stone and everything else. And I remember when I walk with such a proud, because I know the one who makes this beautiful dress, it takes such a time and detail and hard work until this beautiful, expensive dress, it can be shown to the world. And I'm the only one in the world that wear this beautiful dress. I didn't realize that years later when I become Christians, that we are the haute couture. We are extremely unique, all of us individually so unique, made by the grand designer of the universe. And he have a purpose, and he put every amazing thing in our life that we often don't realize. But until we realize who's the designer of the universe, who's this amazing grand designer of the universe, I don't think we can ever walk beautifully with the body that he trusts us, with the life that he allows us to live in. Until we met the designer, until we find out the reason why we created in the first place, we will never discover the true potential that we have until we met him. I hope that you'll meet him personally, because it does change my life, and I'm forever grateful. Thank you so much.